the stormy monsoon session that's really coming up, and which is perhaps why Prime Minister has reached out to the opposition to build consensus, even as his party has decided to brazen it out in both houses of parliament over the Sushma Swaraj issue or the Vasundhara Raje issue or even the Vyapam scam. Joining us on the fate of parliament and what is really the business that is going to be legislated there, we've got four very, very special guests. We've got Surjewala of the Congress, we've got Aman Sinha of the BJP, we have Pavan Varma of JDU, and we have a very special commentator with us, Neerja Chowdhury, who are all joining us live right here on ET Now. Thanks each one of you for being with us. Neerja, I'm going to begin with you because you actually look at the noises before parliament session begins, and this one's bound to be stormy. There are controversies that the government is saddled with, but they've still decided to brazen it out in the parliament when the house is in function. And of course, there are issues with what the opposition wants to do. They're finally finding chinks in the government armor. A washout is what we expect?
I think if you ask me, it looks like a washout. Another session, the same question on the eve of the session. Will the session run? It's not a question of how it will run, what is the legislative business that will be pushed through. Since Narendra Modi came to power, there were several sessions that ran very smoothly, surprisingly.
That's right.
And I think that was a time when the Congress was down and out, unable to get its act together. That has changed somewhat, and it's a very aggressive Congress that's coming to the fore now. So it's not going to give way at all. It looks on GST or land bill, on any of the other questions, because it's made it clear that till the two chief ministers of the BJP, Vasundhara Raje and Shivraj Singh Chauhan of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh respectively, resign because of their alleged involvement in the Lalit Gate and Vyapam scam, the Congress is not going to allow the House to function. So that being the case, I don't know what bills are going to get passed. And it's very unfortunate, you know, that this kind of phenomenon that we've seen of Parliament becoming a hostage to confrontational politics. And this is not today's phenomenon. It's been going out for some years. We've seen it play out during UPA and even earlier.
That's right.
And what is that the BJP does not plan to reach out and navigate the differences has been clear in the last 24 hours. It's taken a very, very aggressive stand that we will give it back.
Right.
So I don't expect anything more than a wash.
That's really the word that's coming in from you, that this is confrontational politics at its worst. It's taking a toll on decision making. Aman Sinha, I'm going to ask you, because you represent the ruling party, you represent the ruling alliance here. You know, many people believe that for the BJP to let reforms through, they have to eat the humble pie. They should be able to navigate. They should be able to build consensus, build bridges. That is something that you're not willing to do. You want to be confrontational. You want to brazen it out at the cost of parliamentary democracy, at the cost of decision making in the House. Is the reading correct there, Aman Sinha?
No, may not be, Supriya, because today we had all party meeting, all different party leaders were there. We tried to reach out, we tried to give our perspective, and we have stated categorically that we are willing to debate and discuss each and every issue. That is what Parliament is meant for. Parliament is meant for discussing and debating all issues, for executing the important legislative agenda of the country, and that is what the BJP intends to do. Now it's up to the Congress party and other parties to, you know, decide what they wish to do. You know, there are several important bills, for instance, you know, with respect to GST, with respect to, you know, land bill, etc. GST bill itself has potential of adding 2% to our GDP. Now this has been languishing for quite some time, despite there being broad unanimity among all chief ministers, and it has already gone through several forums, and already it is, you know, delayed by a pretty long time. But still, you know, we will do our best in right earnest to push the important legislative agenda in the national interest. Whatever that we could do, we would do that, and we will appeal to Congress and other political parties to be a part of this important legislative exercise. And we are willing to debate and discuss each and every issue, you know, whether it pertains to, you know, some allegations being made against X, Y, Z, whichever issues are there, we are willing to debate and discuss each and every issue. And unless we debate and discuss something, how do we know what the truth is? And I really do not know why Congress party should be running away from discussing and debating these issues.
Randeep Surjewala, is the Congress party running away from debating and discussing issues? Parliament is where discussion and debate should happen. Confrontation is perhaps not the way. We've elected you to debate and discuss matters there. Why is the principal opposition shying away from a debate?
Supriya, I was hearing my friend Aman, and I think there are three issues that we both, all of us must understand. Firstly, onus in a parliamentary democracy of ironing out the differences, ironing out the creases, and ensuring that the parliamentary agenda is navigated in a democratic fashion is essentially on the government. I am not saying this. Mr. Jaitley and Ms. Sushma Swaraj have said that umpteen number of times as leaders of opposition. Also, onus is on Prime Minister and government always to ensure that issues of the day are adequately addressed by government of the day. What situation do we have today? Mr. Sinha just pointed out to you that GST is extremely important for the country and it has been languishing for a couple of years. May I ask him and BJP, who made the GST and insurance bill languish for 5 years? It was the obstructionism of Mr. Jaitley and Ms. Sushma Swaraj and the entire BJP leadership that did it. What is the Congress saying? Congress is supporting GST. We ensured that the insurance bill passed despite our differences with BJP in the last session. All that we are saying, do not kill GST before it is born. You are trying to kill a baby in the womb. If you are going to take out 30% of the country's revenue. I'm sorry to interrupt
you there, but are you here suggesting that this is payback time for the BJP? They stored legislation when you were in power, and this is time for you to teach them a lesson. Are you going to be candid enough and admit that?
Supriya, I think it is only perceptional. What are we saying on GST? For example, and let me just very quickly say that, why impose 1% tax for every state and kill GST in the process? Why keep 5 important items which actually would contribute 30% of the entire GST out of GST and kill the baby before it is born? Why not permit that the 2% GDP growth adds to the country? Congress is not opposing for opposition's sake. We have no personal agendas. All that we want is for constructive opposition to take place. It must be laden with fixation of responsibility by Prime Minister, of a foreign minister who helps a criminal and a fugitive against whom there are 16 ED notices, as the current finance minister says, who is accused of 5,000 crore rupees of money laundering, in whose favor a chief minister of BJP files an affidavit to UK border agency saying, please do not tell Indian authorities that I was helping a criminal fugitive. A chief minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, under whose watch 49 deaths take place, 77 lakh children's future is blocked, and we are saying we will not fix responsibility because we do not know what the truth is. The reason is very simple. Truth has to be decided, and for truth to come out, all these 3 persons must go. There has to be an onerous responsibility on Prime Minister Mr. Modi to fix responsibility and walk the talk. What happened to Khaunga na khane dunga? What happened to a transparent and clean government? What happened to zero tolerance for corruption? Are all these hollow promises that Mr. Modi made? This is the pertinent question that government must answer.
I'm going to get a neutral voice, Pavan Varma, to answer that in just a moment from now, but I'm tempted to take this back to Aman Sinha. Aman, some of the points that Mr. Surjewala is raising there are pertinent, and people are questioning that why is the Prime Minister not breaking his silence on these very controversial issues? One wants to hear what his stand is. Why is the BJP adamant of the Prime Minister not speaking on these matters?
No, the party has been speaking. We are all spokespersons of the party. We have been speaking. That is what our stand is. And therefore we want a debate in Parliament. Everybody, whosoever gets an opportunity will be speaking. There is no difficulty at all. Now what my friend Mr. Surjewala Randeep is not able to understand is that how can you condemn somebody even without hearing them or without giving them an opportunity of discussing, debating that issue? We are saying that we are willing to debate and discuss each and every issue. There are serious charges of corruption against former Chief Minister of Congress, Digambar Kamath. In fact, these are not charges, they are proven in a US court, and an affidavit has been given by FBI there. But however, let me say that we are willing to debate and discuss each and every issue. How can you, pass sweeping blanket judgments against anyone without even affording opportunity of debating and discussing? Is that what natural justice is? Is that what the constitution of the country mandates? And let me also point out, Supriya, that the onus for running the parliament is surely on the government, but everybody has, opposition is also important stakeholder. They are also very important part of this, and they also have equal, responsibilities in running the parliament. They cannot run away from their responsibilities. Their responsibility is not merely to create obstructionism and, just hold up something for no rhyme or reason.
I get your point, and which is why I want to bring in Pavan Varma into this discussion. There's grandstanding by one party, there's arrogance of numbers by the other, which is the way you look at this discussion, Mr. Varma. But the question is, who is batting for Indian economy? Who is batting for those decisions to be taken? Who is batting for parliamentary democracy to flourish at this stage?
We would like Parliament to function. We are against the disruption of Parliament. But at the same time, the government is responsible for ensuring that Parliament runs. And in so ensuring, the government cannot impose a unilateral agenda. There are important issues to be discussed. They should be discussed, and GST has just been mentioned. Equally, there are issues that the opposition wishes to raise, on which we've heard a deafening silence from the Prime Minister and a brazenness on behalf of the ruling BJP, which are now the most talked about scams and scandals going on in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, in Delhi, the Lalit Gate and the Vyapam scams. Now, I ask you a simple question. I ask my good friend Aman, the guru of disruptional politics in Parliament is the BJP. The opposition has still not adequately learned. The leader of the opposition, Sushma Swaraj, on the floor of the House said, on the floor of the House said, that the disruption of Parliament is a form of democracy just like any other. The leader of the House in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Jaitley, in an interview in August 2012 said that disruption of Parliament is legitimate. I also put to you what their attitude and approach was when Parliament was on. You will recall the resignations of Ashwini Kumar and Pavan Bansal. On the 10th of May 2013, Mr. Ashwini Kumar was asked to resign on what was considered to be an impropriety, although he had no strictures against him by the Supreme Court. Mr. Pavan Bansal, after 10 hours of grilling by the CBI, was still not named as an accused. I am not defending what they did, but the BJP said that on grounds of propriety or impropriety, they should resign, and they did not let the House run. Today you have a situation.
Do you believe rules of probity require that your party responds, that your ministers resign, retorts to the allegation that's coming in from Pavan Varma? Rules of probity can't be different for the BJP versus the Congress.
No, I don't blame my friend Pavanji for having his newfound love for his newfound allies, Congress party. He seems to be getting blinded by, his love for the Congress party at this point in time. Anyway, let me remind that the champions of obstructionism have been the Congress party. The Congress party, for no rhyme or reason, on several occasions, and they have been, using all kind of antics, right from, pepper spray
were given marching orders. Why are your ministers not resigning? There is an issue of probity here. There is an issue of different rules for the BJP
there
versus
is no illegality, no impropriety. According to us, Supriya, there is no illegality, no impropriety. If anybody has a different point of view, we are willing to have a debate on this. Let us have a feisty, robust debate on this.
Let me answer
What is the difficulty? And let me say that in no court, nowhere they have been, there is no any iota of doubt or, any aspersion which has been casted upon them by any authority of law. Merely on some allegation being made by the opposition party, that cannot become a yardstick for each and everybody resigning. There is another contrast case where there are proven charges. The FBI has filed an affidavit
decided to let go of two of its ministers. Pavan Bansal and Ashwini Kumar were given marching orders. The BJP has decided to brazen it out. Is there a different rule of probity at play here?
Congress, to be also honest, did it after a lot of pressure was mounted. If you remember Raja, Kanni Modi, and when, you know, the Supreme Court, the sword of the Supreme Court was hanging out there. I want to make 2-3 very quick points. You know, I agree with Pavan that Parliament must be allowed to function. Parliament is not a substitute for street politics. That's what it's become. It's a forum for legislating laws and raising national issues. Now, I can understand the Congress party wants to, play the tit-for-tat politics. This is the way you behaved with us. You gave marching orders to our ministers. You put us on the mat. Now, when it comes to you, you're, as you say, adopting different standards. Perfectly understandable. BJP may deserve it, but the country does not deserve that.
And I think that's a very important point that you're raising. Yes.
The Prime Minister, once he becomes a Prime Minister, must cease to be above party. Therefore, in order to navigate these differences, given the gravity of the situation, the importance of the laws that need to be passed, he has to come into the picture. He's got to break his silence and reach out to the other side.
It's a very important point here. India doesn't deserve disruptive politics. Randeep Surjewala, I'm going to come back to you. I know you have basic differences on land. I know you have basic differences on the contours of the GST. But many of these bills were piloted by you. They were championed by the Congress party. And which is why the onus of reforms lies as much on the opposition as the onus of governance lies on the government. You can't shy away from that responsibility, which at some point the Congress party is. So there is an arrogance, there's an arrogant behavior as far as your majority in the Rajya Sabha is concerned, much as the BJP is arrogant about its numbers in the Lok Sabha.
Supriya, let me correct you. Right to Fair Compensation Act 2013 was passed by the Congress party, but was passed with complete consensus, including accepting the opposition from the then leader of opposition, Mr. Jaitley, as also by Ms. Sushma Swaraj, and in fact so much so of Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan. That is the bill that we are rooting for. 2014 ordinance that Mr. Modi has brought was never piloted by the Congress, so let me correct you there. And we are saying that the 2014 land ordinance that Mr. Modi has brought kills the soul and spirit of a legislation that was passed with complete parliamentary, political and societal unanimity, without any difference of opinion, and without its implementation. Here comes a Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, who in order to help some crony capitalist friends is trying to undo it. Qua GST, we have clearly said we stand for GST, we drafted the GST, we introduced it in the parliament, BJP obstructed it. All that we are saying, do not kill the baby before it is born. That's what our objections are based upon. If you are going to impose 1% local tax per state after state, then where does the GST really, it will cease to exist. If you are going to keep 30% of the total taxation out of the purview of GST, how would GST live? If you are going to take away the consultation mechanism as also a mechanism for deciding disputes out of GST, how will GST survive? These are relevant, legitimate objections that Congress has.
Aman, I want you to come in on that. There is a sort of a review that your party has on the land bill. What has forced that position of rethink? That's question number one. And question number two is, on a reform as big as the GST, wouldn't you rather have consensus than have dissent notes?
No, Supriya, in fact, we have already had several rounds of consensus on GST. Now only my friend is, they are changing their position. Otherwise, all the Congress chief ministers have also unanimously on record agreed to the structure of the GST. And they are again going back on their word just for, their own politicking. They are trying to, make such a posture or take such a stand, which is extremely unfortunate. As far as land bill is concerned, Supriya, let me point out that the earlier statute was a 1895 statute. And after more than 115-20 years, if some statute came in the UPA regime, we thought it was a progressive step and we supported it. However, it emerged that it was an unworkable statute and nothing really happened on ground. All the developmental projects had come to a grinding halt. There was no rural infrastructure, nothing was being created, no irrigation projects were being created, and therefore the agrarian incomes needed to be supplemented, and therefore to give impetus to agrarian economy, to give impetus to agriculture, we brought in these changes. and we believe that these changes are absolutely fair and just changes, and they make the statute workable. Otherwise, nothing was happening on ground. And this is what I am trying to point out. In fact, the changes that we have made in land acquisition bill, compensation of land acquisition bill, they are all pro-farmer, pro-agriculturist and rural Indian economy, all initiatives are there. So therefore, I think Congress party and all other, friends in the parliament, including Mr. Pavan Varma, they should be supporting us rather than criticizing us just for the heck of criticizing it, as they are doing right now.
I'm going to take it to Pavan Varma because you brought him into this discussion, and we're on the last leg of our discussion, Mr. Varma. I very quickly want to ask you, be it the political grandstanding of one party, the arrogance of the other, the fact is that India's economy is at stake here. And very quickly, the window of opportunity is going to considerably shrink. It is anyway shrinking because there's going to be Bihar elections up next, there's going to be UP, West Bengal, all of that coming up. Do you fear that amidst all of this, the window of opportunity for the Modi government is shrinking, and as the opposition, some onus lies on you as well?
The window of opportunity may be shrinking, but I think there's a time also to introspect on what's the definition of economic reform. A farmer is dying, is committing suicide every half an hour. You're pushing through a land acquisition bill which is unfair and neglecting agriculture and irrigation. These are questions to be asked. We are not against the GST. BJP wants the parliament to function by its own yardstick. Ask its one cabinet minister and 2 chief ministers to resign while the probe is done. Parliament will function. Let them have a genuine discussion on land acquisition bill. Parliament will function. The onus lies on the government. You cannot brazen it out and say the opposition is disrupting Parliament if you are not willing to make what you yourself considered to be rightful concessions in the name of probity. There has to be an equal standard of judgment.
No.
I get your point. We need debate, we need discussion. But Surjewala, I'm going to very quickly come to you for closing comments there. The parliament session is up next. You've seen many a parliament sessions get disrupted due to partisan politics. Does it anywhere in your conscience hurt you that the monsoon session is headed to a washout as well?
Supriya, let me begin by saying that even during the last parliament session, Congress along with other opposition parties played a constructive role and ensured many legislations were passed with our support despite our difference of opinion. We want Parliament to function, but should Parliament to function at the altar of complete hegemony of the Prime Minister and BJP? Should Parliament function on the dictates of Shri Narendra Modi and BJP? Should Parliament function only because Prime Minister wants his and his party's conduct to be in a particular fashion which militates against and negates and denigrates the basic foundation of parliamentary democracy? I do not think Parliament can function by in this brazen fashion in which BJP and Prime Minister are seeking it to do. He has to reach out. He is the leader of the house. He has to navigate, as Neerja ji has said, and he has to ensure that all the issues that are affecting our polity, including his tainted and dented government, they are kept on the side. They are resolved. After all, as Pavan Varma ji has said, why can't he make the 3 people step down and say, let there be a fair probe? If they are exonerated in that fair probe, let them come back.
Right.
Why is it that Prime Minister has an obstinate attitude and an arrogance of power that it will be either my way or the highway? I don't think so. That is the way parliamentary democracy would function.
Aman Sinha, before I close this, I have to come back to you for a quick closing comment there. Rewind to May last year and it looked like 282 was a magical number. It doesn't seem to be working anymore. I mean, did we underestimate the importance of the Rajya Sabha here? It seems like a wasted majority if you ask me.
Well, Supriya, in any parliament, the ruling party and the opposition party, they have to come together and play an important constructive role as far as executing the legislative agenda is concerned. I'm sorry to say that my friend Randeep was asking several questions. I think he should be putting these questions to himself. Whether, Congress party believes that their obstinate, their, dictatorial attitude, everybody should just, go along with that. Or should there be any debate or discussion? All the questions that my friend Randeep was posing, he should in fact first pose it to himself and then, if need be, pose it to his friend Mr. Pavan Varma and then get a reply get a sincere reply, and then only try to come and debate and discuss with us. The point is that we are willing to discuss each and every issue, debate each and every issue, including the issues that they are alleging us upon, and all other issues, several issues of, complicity of several Congress chief ministers.
So plenty of soul searching that needs to be done both by the opposition and the government. Neerja Chowdhury, I'm going to turn to you for a quick closing comment, very crisply in the next 30 seconds. Did we misread verdict 2014?
Well, you're right in terms of the Rajya Sabha, where the BJP does not have a majority, and even if it wins every election, it will not get a majority for the next 2-3 years. Therefore, it is stuck. They've got to find other ways of functioning. And, I would say, I agree with, Mrs. Surjewala, Pavan, Varma. Let them all say this absolutely strongly on the floor of the House. Why do you have to use disruption and noise and din and sound and fury as the language of Parliament? You are actually weakening Parliament, whether it was BJP yesterday or the opposition today. And you are actually going to let the BJP off the hook. If there is... Session is a washout.
It's indeed going to be a stormy session. One hopes it will not be a washout, because at stake is really India's economy, and at stake are economic decisions that need to be taken, and the opposition and the government should bury their partisan politics and come together on that. But that's perhaps wishing for a lot more than one needs to. Thank you very much, each one of you, for being with us on this very special edition as we discuss and debate the monsoon storm ahead.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.